here with Molly Schaller with Halcraft, and today we're talking about color, and this is a beautiful necklace.
Thank you. Color was actually what inspired this whole design, was the color of the different beads.
It's gorgeous.
Thank you.
You're welcome. How do you get started?
Well, this necklace is all about, first of all, the structure of the chain, and then to that we just get to add some of our favorite colors and shapes of beads.
Yeah, and you chose some really interesting shapes.
Yeah, this oval right here, it's a faceted oval, which makes it sparkle when the light hits it. It's a really nice way to have just something larger. I think works well as the very bottom part of the bib necklace.
Okay, yeah, and we should mention that you're kind of creating the structure of the bib. You could do this with any beads. It would just require some planing, but we'll have all the instructions on our website.
Yep, it'll be there. I started with these green beads, and all you need to do is, I usually create my dangles first, and then I create the foundation and the structure. So I just took the ones, and I'll line the whole thing up before I start working it together to make sure everything looks right. So
I'm just going for longer things in the center, shorter things toward the outside?
Yep, longer in the center and then shorter as it goes up into that kind of smiley face shape.
Okay.
So, so the smaller beads I chose were these smaller opaque green faceted beads, and then to kind of give an intermediate level so that we've got the larger beads, I actually just popped a little tiny faceted rondelle onto those to give them a little more length to be kind of intermediate.
Yeah.
So I started by making some wrapped loops at the top of each of these dangles. So you just take your round nose pliers, that's what I use to make the bend, and I do a loop back around. And then I like to actually, pull this with another set of pliers. A lot of people just use fingers, but I think either my fingers are not strong enough, but I just get a better pull and tighter loop when I use the pliers. So I made a bunch of these loops, and so I just kind of started to set them in here after I, of course, trimmed the end. I sometimes forget to do that. So I started to put these around to see how I'd like things to fall.
So you kind of arrange it first?
Yeah, I do. I definitely arrange the entire thing first. So once I've got my dangles, I kind of see how far out I want things to go. So I started with something about like that, kind of, and also the spacing is an important thing when you're doing this one, because there's a smaller space in between all the beads on the top layer of chain than there is on the beads on the bottom, because they have to fan out.
To create the fan.
Yeah.
That's a great tip. Okay, so when you're ready to connect things together, it looks like you're starting at the center.
Yeah, I like to start at the center of my chains, and I found with chain, at least for me, it's easiest for me to just double it over and find the center link. And then if there's any, I don't know, just if I accidentally have an extra link on one side or another, I can just snip it off at the end, and I'm working from the center out with this design. So once I've found the center link, let me go ahead and find it here. I'll usually kind of mark it with a head pin or something like that so that I can pull it out. Kind of mark it with a head pin there. I'll find the center link on the top chain as well. And this is where the structure comes in. On this design, you're going to take a head pin and you're going to go, do your first bead.
Right.
Go through that center link. And then I went through 2 other beads, like that.
Okay, and that'll create the space between the 2 rows of chain.
Yep, and then I go down through the center link of the second chain, and I found instead of just doing a loop, it looks nicer and it gives a more secure connection if I do a small rondelle or even like a metal round would be really nice.
You just want a little spacer of some kind right there.
Yeah, and then I'll make a 90-degree bend. I like to nip it off first. Oop, wrong way. And that will hold my chains together.
Ah.
And kind of, this is a design that really does help to keep your chains extended so that you can count all the different lengths.
And that you do just have to keep straightening things back out.
Mm-hmm.
So then you make a basic loop again, and now that's your hanger for the first pendant drop, right?
Yes, and then you can put that drop on.
Okay. So it looks like on your next sample that you have, that one is already attached.
Yes.
And then you build out one side at a time, is that right?
I do. The reason I did that was I wanted to make sure that the curve of the necklace works well. And then once I find a curve on this side that I like, I can mimic it on the other side.
Sure.
And just kind of space it out. So I've gone ahead and I've gone through and done the same all the way up to about here, but then I wanted it to narrow at the top. So I just added one bead, or you could have even had like kind of an intermediary here where you have like a smaller bead that you pop in, but I liked having the purple continue on
Yeah, oh,
up.
it looks so pretty, and I love the way that you combine the glass with the stone. That's one of my
Yeah.
favorite things, is bringing those natural stones into your beads.
They give it a little bit of texture and a little less flash in certain parts, which makes it a lot more interesting to look at.
Oh yeah, for sure. Can you just show us how you would hook the pendant onto the bottom of
Sure.
the dangle there?
I would go ahead and, let's see, should I use this one or that one?
Sure, maybe on this one.
Top
up
one?
front.
Okay. I just went ahead and I opened the loop. I don't know if I can make it so you can see it here. But I give it a little twist so that it just barely opens, and then I slide the dangle on.
So that works well because you have your basic loop and your wrap loop combo there.
Yeah, it's a pretty secure thing. I think that for me, the wrap loop at the bottom, since this is a necklace, it's not going to get a heavy duty workout as far as pulling apart, but it gives it a nice, more texture and a little bit of a design element.
Yeah.
Right down at the
You know,
bottom.
my other question is of where you attach the two chains together.
You could open a jump ring, or you could open the chain and attach it there.
Thank you so much, Melanie. This is a beautiful project. Let's take a look at the variations before we go. We'll be right back.